podcast.
All right. What's going on, Fight Bros podcast listeners? Welcome to Fight Bros MMA show number 50. I got a great one with you today. This is kind of going along with our series with Titans of the Cage heading into their 33rd event at the Withville Meeting Center on May 20th. The gentleman I have on today is the owner and head coach at Carolina Combat Sports and Fitness in Charlotte. He also is the head coach of UFC fighter Bryan Battle and upcoming fighter at Titans of the Cage, Upright Odoemena. So I'd like to welcome our guest today, Tom Ziegler, to our podcast. Tom, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. It's great to be here.
So, Tom, I just wanted to start out a little bit. I wanted to get to know a little bit about you. Can you tell me how you got started as yourself as an athlete in MMA and kind of the origins of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting but not so glorious story, actually. I'm let's say I'm older than most. I'm age challenged, I guess, So when I was at my athletic peak in my early 20s, was in '93. I was already 24 years old, and there was no place to train. There was some boxing gyms, there was some karate schools, but there was nothing around. I'm always intrigued by the sport. But I didn't get into it till my late 30s. I was 37, 38 years old. And I brought my son into a gym and got him training. And the owner, my original instructor, I had a little bit of background in wrestling. I had some friends that boxed amateurs, and I did some training with them, but nothing overly consistent. Throughout my 20s, I was always a good athlete coming up. Three-sport high school athlete, all county honors. Played. My freshman year lacrosse at a junior college. I spent most of my adult life having a lot of regrets about some woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff in my athletic background. But I started jiu-jitsu and kickboxing in my late 30s, and I was still pretty physical guy. Was still playing pick up basketball at the Y and playing in a lot of flag football leagues. Football was my first love. And I just never lost that itch, Pete. And I was adulting in the corporate world with a decent job that I didn't necessarily like, but I was making good money. And I found this and I just fell in love with it and found a passion. And it's just slowly but surely over the years, I got better and better and found ways to stay on the mats and stay in the gym and stay injury free. Started helping a lot of the guys up my head that, I was more likely going to be a coach. Even though I competed in a bunch of jiu-jitsu and grappling tournaments and probably 60 of them, and probably won about 2/3, lots of medals, all that stuff. But I was a training and sparring partner for a lot of local guys, pros and amateurs, and just gave guys looks. I was the guy to get, I was the gym rat, that helped out, and I just took on a coaching and mentoring role, involved and just never quit on it and never stopped trying to get better at it, and looking for ways to improve in whatever way I can. And, led me to here. It's like I said, not so glorious, but some people find it inspiring. I don't know. It's just my story, man. It's weird.
Yes, sir. Hey, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of us, I like yourself, still into basketball, very heavy. Kind of tell you a little bit about me too. Is yeah, I grew up playing sports, played a little bit of basketball in college, and now I run a fit. I run a senior fitness center. I teach. I don't know if you ever heard of Rock Steady Boxing. It's for folks with Parkinson's. Boxing program for folks with Parkinson's. So I run that. Definitely, not on the level you are, but kind of the similar realm that led me to getting involved into some coaching as well. So I feel like, sorry about that. We got a little lag.
That Marcus, that's amazing. I love that story because you and I both know Freddie Roach has Parkinson's. Freddie Roach has Parkinson's, and he still continues to train and hits mitts, and it really helps with his coordination and hand-eye coordination. And my father, before he passed, had a form of Parkinson's. So that's awesome, bro. I'm glad you're doing that. That's great.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad we're kind of mutually involved with that there. Definitely, a lot of athletes like to go into that coaching room after we get done. So I wanted to get with you as well. So, you're the owner of Carolina Combat Sports and Fitness. Tell me a little bit about your day-to-day there in terms of, managing the fighter camps and general classes and everything like that.
Yeah, it's you get into a process, and you get into them, and you get into just your procedures, and things start to happen. We got morning classes, we got evening classes. So the general membership is always got opportunities to train and improve. We've got the fight team and the guys that fight pro and amateur on the mats, the same with the general membership, and everybody's trying to look to get better together. And it works out really well on that end. The fight team is in separately as well, and the day to day, just making sure the classes are either taught by myself or covered by one of my pros. The administrative end is always a never ending thing. I spend couple hours a day, making sure I'm handling that end. And I would say dealing with the matchmakers and promoters, somebody's always hitting me up about it, a future fight and how many guys I got ready, and just coordinating all that. It's a ability, but I could be working at any moment. As long as my phone is on me, I could definitely be working. So sometimes, it's 10 p.m. and I'm still talking to promoters and matchmakers, or students, or prospect members who have hit us up on social media or through the website. But as far as the actual physical training and the teaching, and again, 6 days, all the administrative stuff and everything else, I kind of fit in between. And it's a lot of fun. It doesn't feel like work, when it's a passion. But yeah, I stay pretty busy.
So I'm glad you brought that up about having to deal with promoters and booking fights and everything. That was actually going to be one of my questions. So, so you and your team, for your kind of involved in your day to day for your amateur and professional fighters, y'all, deal with, I guess, picking out the best fights and offers with what you're being offered for them.
Yeah, it depends on who's in the gym consistently, who's ready, who's wanting it, And then the other end of that is, looking at the matchups. Is this guy right for him? Sometimes we get offered a guy that I don't feel is really up to par for the skill level that comes. We get an offer. It's like, okay, this guy is a nice win for this particular fighter because we feel real good about this matchup. Say it's his first MMA fight, it's his debut. He's a little on the green end as far as our fight team hierarchy goes, and you might take a lesser opponent for that debut just to get his feet wet. So I've had those situations before. Going to respond once the lights come on in that cage door locks and the announcer starts announcing his name. So if we get a matchup from a promoter that doesn't seem like it's that tough of a challenge, sometimes we'll take those fights. But on the other end of that, say I've got a pro who's got next level ability, and he gets, and that particular pro's got a good record. Let's just say, for example, he's 5-1, and then we get offered the debut guy. It doesn't really do anything for that particular fighter because he's trying to build to the next level, and taking a lesser fight doesn't help him in that particular situation. So it's a constant analysis of knowing your fighters, and then also being able to, kind of research and take a look at what type of matchups that you're getting, and just kind of make some decisions from there. The other part of that is, your relationship with the matchmaker and the promoter, and what kind of trust you have with them. Some of these guys will try to set, against the killer, and you got to watch for that too.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because I think, a lot of folks don't know that in and out that goes, some folks from the outside might just think, hey, you're just in there training them to get them ready, but there's a lot more than that. Definitely dealing, with owner and head coach.
Oh, yeah.
So I got another question for you. Have you always had a class for only pros? I did look on your website, and I seen where you've got some of your coaches are pros. Did you have to get to a point where you had to have a pros only, like an invite only class, or have you always had it like that?
Yeah, and that's another thing that's going to evolve as well, I think, over time. As the gym grows and these guys continue to get better, the fight team has always been invite only. You've got to skills as well as all the ins and outs of MMA cage fighting. All the cage work that some people don't even pay a lot of attention to. You have to have a skill set and kind of be ready for whatever can happen to you in that cage. We want you to have an answer for it. Once you develop a certain amount of skill set, you will get that invite.
Thanks for listening to the Fight Bros podcast.
Separately with
if you
the
like
fight
what you
team
heard today, like us on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for all your support.
Pros and amateurs will train together to a point, and this is kind of forward thinking and kind of being proactive. It may evolve as we grow, and some of these high level and talented amateurs that we have start to go pro. And then we're pulling up amateurs from the general membership as they develop their skills. I may get to a point to where I have to separate it and have like an amateur fight team session and a pro fight team session. But we're not quite there yet. Our right now, and and they give good looks to our pros. There's not a huge gap, mainly because of the fact that we have a high standard. And we're not going to come down for anyone for that. We want to raise you up to our standard. So, there's a lot of gyms over the years. I've seen some really bad things to where, a guy comes in, hey, I want to fight. Hey, I want to fight. And some gyms will let you come in and, train for 2 or 3 months and put you in a fight. And that guy's not ready to make sure that, you have all the skill sets that you need to. So like I said, whatever happens to you in that cage, you at least have an answer for it. And, you're put in a situation for success instead of failure. I've seen talented guys that had ability take a fight too soon and kind of rush things, and they take a couple of L's as an amateur and they lose their heart, they lose their gut for it, their passion for it. And they just think, oh, this ain't for me. Go in there before they were ready. Where, if they'd have waited a little longer, they might have had a career and maybe able to do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yes, sir. I wanted to touch base with you on this too, since this just happened last night. Before we get into Titans in the Cage 33, so I know that Robbie Ring, up and coming fighter, has come in and trained with you at your gym. He just got a finish last night at in Chattanooga. He's definitely making his way up the ladder. Could you talk about your relationship with him as a fighter?
Robbie Ring is an absolute stud. He is an absolute stud. One of my favorite people. He's come down here. He's taken the drive from Virginia down to Charlotte, and he's trained with us a handful of times. And what it's just a tremendous talent. Into just a great human being. The energy that he brings, the work ethic that he brings, along with just sky's the limit type talent. That kid's going next level for sure. We got him hooked up with Brian's agent, Jason House at Iridium. And, I know Jason's kind of, rubbing his hands. He can't wait because that UFC debut is going to come very soon for Robbie Ring. That kid's a stud.
Yes, sir. Hey, I was wishing this scenario would kind of work out, but I know Robbie just fought last night. But when I seen that Bryan got booked for UFC Charlotte coming up here in May, I was like, oh, that'd be the perfect place for Robbie to make his debut as well. So I was hoping both of them could get on that same card, but I know that'll kind of be tough now with how close Robbie just fought. But,
yeah.
But tell us a little bit about how excited you are for Bryan.
Yeah, it's gonna happen for Robbie.
Sorry about that. We had a little lag.
Bryan's fight. Yeah. Yeah, Bryan Battle's fight, May 13th, Charlotte, North Carolina. We actually got the matchup, weeks before they announced that it was going to be in Charlotte. And the venue was, to be determined. We're thinking, another Apex fight. We'll go out to Vegas. No big deal. But Bryan and I, have talked about, for years, even before he got on the Ultimate Arena, fight where you walk out and there's more than just a few hundred people in the crowd, and you're feeling that energy. And, we didn't anticipate that first arena fight would actually be in Charlotte. But we were already preparing for his opponent, Gabe Green, and we were waiting to hear about the venue, and they announced Charlotte, and we were like, "Whoa, that changes things," So it's super exciting, man. Something to where we won't have to travel, so that is a good thing. Being holed up 5 days in Vegas isn't the worst thing in the world, but you're away from your family, you're away from the gym. I'm worried about what's going on in the gym, making sure my guys are covering the classes. I'm on my security cameras and watching everything that's going on just to make sure it's all going good at the gym. That's hard to do, for spending 5 days away from the gym, away. Really nice to be here at home, be able to do all the training and everything we need to do right here in Charlotte without, long travel days and all that. But on the other side, we've got people hitting us up for tickets. hey, you got to hook up for tickets. And I'm like, no, it's like we don't get a hook up. we're, yes, we're in the UFC, but Dana White is not on my speed dial. I'm not getting a bunch of tickets for nothing. So if you're watching this, stop messaging me. I don't have a hookup for tickets.
So I'm excited for y'all to be able to do that because I know that is very convenient and just has to be bittersweet to be able to fight in y'all's hometown. Can you tell us a little bit about how I guess the experience of cornering in the
Yeah.
UFC has been compared to other promotions you may have done with other fighters in the past?
It's certainly, it is, the best promotion in the world, bar none. Just everything is handled, for the fighters. Everything's on a schedule. Everything's so organized, and we fought for, some really good regional promotions that have their shit together. And then we fought on some more local rinky-dink promotions that really don't have it together at all. And everything in between. But when you get to the UFC, I'd say, you know, it's all the communication, everything's handled. You're going into the PI center, and the place is just like uh, uh, a I don't know, like the mecca of all MMA. Just everything is right there, and you're seeing all these people that you've been fans of for so long, and next thing you're right there with them, meeting them, shaking their hand, and, like rubbing elbows with them. It's a weird thing. Sitting at the same time, I was a fan long before I was a coach in the UFC. Like I said before, I'm just a guy that found a passion and never stopped trying to get better at it, and then here I am, a UFC coach. So it's a strange thing at first. But yeah, coaching and cornering in the UFC, the guys come and they mic you up, and you start thinking in your head, oh shit, they're gonna hear this on television in between rounds. I'm on ESPN, right? Like all those little distractions that you're not used to on the local regional level. And just understanding that you're mic'd up. You just got to block it out and just kind of focus on what you're doing, focus on the task at hand, and just execute. Focus on Bryan, and obviously we hope to get more guys to the UFC, but yeah, it's definitely a difference. But after 4 fights, I'm feeling more and more comfortable. But at first, you're just so nervous. You definitely feel the nerves, even though Bryan's the one that's got to go ask yourself, hey, did we work on everything? Did we do everything? Am I missing something? You constantly have that going through your head. And it's it's definitely a lot different, but certainly over time, just like anything else, you get used to it. And I'm feeling pretty comfortable these days. This will be our fifth UFC fight, and the last one I didn't feel near the nerves as I did the first couple.
Well, that's good. I mean, like you kind of stated in there, now that y'all fought in the UFC, you've kind of built that rapport, and hopefully can get more fighters in the UFC in the future, where y'all established yourself now with the UFC.
Yeah,
All right, Tom. So I wanted to get.
yeah, that's the goal.
Sorry about that. That lag got us that time. All
You
right.
okay?
So I wanted to get with you
That's
about
okay.
things.
I'm going to trust your editing.
Sorry about that, guys. Just a little lag. All right, Tom. I wanted to get with you about Titans in the Cage 33. You Titans of the Cage 33. I apologize. I wanted to get with you about that. You will be cornering Um, Upright Odoemena as he challenges Daniel Wilkins for the Titans in the Cage lightweight title. Can you tell us a little bit about camp and preparation for that as you head into as we get closer to that fight on May 20th?
Yeah, it's been busy. Upright is just coming off of a win just a couple weeks ago in Wilmington, and so he took a week off, and now he's just starting to get back into camp. So he's already in decent shape. He came out of the last fight with minor bumps and bruises. So it took a week off to let his body recover, and now this week we're right back into it. Trying to get him prepared for this next fight, which is for an amateur title, and things are going well. I can't complain. I like where he's at right now. As as far as developmentally, as the holes that he's filling in and the things that the big part of that is, the more fights he has and the more we focus on his mindset. Those are where the real jumps in his development are going to start happening. He's already a physical specimen. Upright. If you look at him, he's an intimidating, imposing look. He looks like he's been carved out rose type body. Looks like he should be in a comic book. He's got that type of body style. Super explosive, super physical guy. But the more we've been working on his skill sets and filling in the holes and talking about his mindset, he's really starting to make some leaps and bounds. As he's got the ability to go pro and really make some noise. He's that type of amateur. He's next level ability.
I definitely look forward to that fight. I got to interview Daniel and I hope to interview Upright as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that fight. I believe that will be up there, either the co-main or main event. Do you know which one that'll be yet?
We haven't been made aware. The other one is for an amateur title as well. So Upright will very likely be either the main or co-main. I don't know. I have to ask him about that one. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Another question here. Speaking of the upcoming event, Titans of the Cage 33, how did you get connected with Titans of the Cage with your fighters? How did you kind of, I guess, build that rapport with them where you're getting fighters involved with their promotion now?
My good friend and another promoter, Marcelo Rodriguez. Sorry, not Garcia. Marcelo Rodriguez. Marcelo Rodriguez, completely different guy. Pound for pound, best BJJ guy in the world. No, Marcelo Rodriguez has been a good friend of mine for a long time. He's been a promoter since I started in this game back in 2006 to the rings. Robbie's parents for a long time, and he kind of hooked me up with Robbie and said, "Hey, I've got a guy, Robbie Ring. He's really good, but he needs some training partners, to kind of push him. He was wondering if." You can come down and train with the gym. And I said, sure, absolutely. Like we talked about before, Robbie's a stud. He fit well in with the guys. Everybody loved him. He gave everybody great looks, and he was just an absolute stud. So we loved having him in the gym. And if memory serves, that kind of parlayed into, his mom, Kim, contacted me about, the cards they put on for Titans of the Cage to potentially put guys on the card up there and kind of get Bryan involved and, have him be like the celebrity up there, the guest celebrity who come in the cage and talk to everybody, sign autographs, take pictures with everybody. So that's kind of how that came about. It came through Marcelo Rodriguez, who actually is a part of a promotion called Fight For It. And he's been friends with the Rings for a long time. And that's how I hooked up with Robbie, and then eventually hooked up with Robbie's parents about getting on Titans of the Cage. And it's been a great relationship. Just great people, very organized. I trust them, with everything that they do up there. They always put on an amazing show. It's one of the better promotions that I've been a part of. I can't talk enough good things about the Rings and Titans of the Cage.
Yes, sir. Well, Tom, I appreciate your time today. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy guy. Got a lot of fight camps
Sure.
up here that you're managing. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and just talking with me. Guys, if you're ever in Charlotte, please check out Tom's gym, Carolina Combat Sports and Fitness. I want to wish you and Upright luck as well, moving into the Titans of the Cage event on May 20th. If you're looking for tickets for that, guys, visit www.titansofthecage.com. Tom, I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Marcus. Had a good time. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I'm just going to end this recording and then. Thanks for listening to the Fight Bros podcast. If you like what you heard today, like us on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for your support.